Hi there. Thanks for joining me today. I have a little secret for you. How often we come into church here at Our Lady's and we never glance to the left side, but many of our own parishioners have never been into our chapel. And this is where we have liturgy during the week. So come on in and let me give you a little tour, okay? Just follow me. Now, as we enter, the chapel is octagonal, which is very ancient in the church use, having 8 sides. And I'm going to point out some things and just come on, follow me. Now, I'm going to point things out, and if you would look up above the altar, and we have a beautiful crucifix that matches the one in the church, and this is based on a 4th century Syriac gospel. They call it the Rabula gospel. And it was full of illuminations. And this is our Syriac tradition. It was done in Syriac. And if you look closely at the cross, you'll see Christ on the cross, a very Eastern style, that he's not down and out, but he's being crucified, but at any point he could come off the cross. And if you look closer, it looks like he has a huge beach towel around him. Now, the significance of this is that at that point in the church history, that we realize through the art that our church was heavily Jewish still. And out of Jewish insensitivities to nakedness, they would never depict Christ in any form of nakedness. And later, you could see him they started depicting him with a loincloth. Of course, realizing that he didn't have that on the cross. It was out of respect, but the humiliation that he went through for you and me on the cross. Now, flanking him is to his right is his mother, and to his left is John. And then if you look closer up on top is the Holy Spirit coming down. And then at his feet there's a cave, and a skull and bones there, depicting that's the old Adam. He's the new Adam. The old Adam stretched out his hands to the tree in disobedience, and he brought sin and that ruptured relationship with God. And here he's on the tree of life, and he's bringing reconciliation. And if you ever go to Jerusalem and where the site where he's crucified, you go down below, and there's a cave. They call it Adam's Chapel. There's nothing there but a cave. And tradition holds, whether it's exactly or not, but the idea that when Christ died, the earth quaked, and in that fissure of the rock, which goes down into the cave, his blood spilled on the skull of Adam, and which is very rich. I love it. And now, flanking the altar, we have 2 icons. In the center, we have the Blessed Mother. And this is one of the oldest, based on the oldest Maronite icon, Our Lady of Elige. And she's carrying Christ. It's not detailed. It's kind of a rough, but not detailed. Christ is standing there, and he's forming his fingers and hand, the 2 showing that he's both God and both man. And then he's given a blessing. One God. God is never ending, never beginning. And then you see his mother. She'll have a star. It's typical of Eastern Church art, that she'll have a star on both shoulders and a forehead, representing that she was virgin before giving birth, she was virgin during birth, and after birth she remains. And of course she's carrying Christ, so you won't see the 3rd cross. Now, go into these icons and maybe come closer with me. I found these icons when we went to Greece back in, I think the year, it was 2001, and it's beautifully hand-painted on gold. And if you look closely, you see the Mother of God carrying Christ on her lap. And she's representing, or he's surrounded, let's say, with a stylized genealogy, beginning with with Abraham at the bottom, and then his ancestors. Of course, there were many more ancestors than this. King David and King Solomon at the top. This is the olive tree. Now we'll go to the opposite side, and you'll see Christ. And Christ is enthroned. And again, his fingers, always notice the fingers move. And he's the vine. This is the grapevine. And he's surrounded by the 12 apostles. I'm the vine, you are the branches. Now over to our right is St. Anne, the mother of the Blessed Mother. And then we have St. Joseph. And he's carrying the Christ child, and his staff is blooming. And the tradition was that when he was a widower, and the men would always go to the temple, and the high priest would choose from their staffs. They'd leave the night before and saying, this staff, you're married to so-and-so. This staff, you're married to so-and-so. And the high priest knew the Blessed Mother since she grew up in the temple as one of the virgins who made the vestments and the robes and the curtain. He knew she was special, so he prayed, and that night he had a dream that one of the staffs was blooming. It was like Aaron's staff. And of course, when he went out in the hallway, the staff was blooming, and it belonged to Joseph, and that's how they were betrothed. Now let's go over to this side, and we have St. Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, and then we have St. Jude. And particularly, it's interesting if you look up, and I'm going to get the camera to look at our round windows. I'm very proud of them. I think they're very unique. The icon of Our Lady of Elige in it traditionally would have two figures. And oftentimes in the old forms, they look like two African-American angels. But they represent the sun and the moon. And it's tradition of the church to have depicted, particularly like crucifixion, the sun and the moon, because they represent all creation is witnessing Christ's action, his salvation. So we had these round windows and said, well, what are we going to do with the windows? And the window of our Blessed Mother, Our Lady of Liege, is too small to include the sun and the moon, but perfectly with the sun and the moon, all creation witnesses to Christ. And also in Our Lady of Liege, I forgot to mention, if you look in her halo, you could count. It's like a round disc or maybe stars, and there's 12 of them, representing the 12 from the woman in the Apocalypse, in the book of Revelations, 12 tribes, we could say the 12 apostles. And our altar was fashioned, designed by James Campbell, with our main altar in the church, made in Mexico, and it's based on a column, a Corinthian column, made out of the Catera stone. Our fans represent the kingship of Christ. And our chandelier, if we may look up, it was a gift paid by parishioners. Everything you see has been given by parishioners, the different saints. And you'll see the seraphim, the crosses. And then our podium, also handcrafted by James Campbell. And you'll want to get a front view. All the woodwork, very delicate. And Mr. Campbell also does the icons, the Annunciation. Since this is the Blessed Mother's Chapel, we have to have the Annunciation here. And I think that concludes our tour of the chapel. I'm glad you joined me, and next time you're in church, come to see the chapel. We have Saturday night liturgies here, Wednesday, Fridays. So it's a great place, great feel. You'll want to come in and see this for yourself. All right, thank you.